Welcome to the third annual Locked On Senators NHL Draft Rankings. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller, here to give you a quick preview of what you can expect in the weeks leading up to the July 7th NHL Draft.
Yeah, Ross, we're counting down the top 64 prospects based on a consolidated average of 7 of our most trusted draft reporters and scout analysts.
We'll introduce those analysts in just a moment, but first to let you know how the average works, because we've had a lot of questions, and instead of explaining it in every single show, upwards of 15 shows coming up are all going to have our draft rankings in it. This is the first year, though, that it's on YouTube. Therefore, we are cutting it down to each individual profile. So if a name catches your attention in the lead up to the draft, just type in their name and it'll come up with their profile right here on Locked On Senators. And the way we're calculating the average, I'm pulling up Dylan James, and of course, we'll go with the North Dakota commit as our example, but it also makes sense because right now we're always using the most up-to-date rankings, but once that player's profile is done, their ranking is locked in. And as you can see with Dylan James, Pilsy, Craig Button has him at 55. He's not ranked on any of our other 7 scouts. So why is he 68 on average?
Great question, Ross. And we're not known to be math guys, so people might just be like, oh, their math is wrong, which is fair. But for this example, Bob McKenzie, he only ranked up to 81 prospects and had some honorable mentions. So people that didn't quite make it into his top 81, we just put his average as 81. So here the average is 55 plus 81 divided by 2. Hopefully that equals out to 68, but that's how we did that. So if you're looking at it and thinking, hey, this doesn't quite add up, that's one of the differences we made in our consolidated averages.
And I think it's a solid way to do it because if they aren't ranked on another list, then they don't have them in the top whatever. And right now, we'll introduce them and we'll tell you what we have for each guy because the rankings are very different in terms of Bob McKenzie has 81. We got 32 from another source. But here, let's introduce. Starting with a legend of the game. He's semi-retired. He's sipping margaritas, but he's still more connected to NHL and amateur scouts than anybody in the hockey world. From TSN, it's Bob McKenzie.
And sticking with TSN, Ross, one of the most well-dressed men on television.
Friend of the show!
Recurring guest, friend of the show. One of our best interviews of all time is always Craig Button, who's been on our show multiple times. We love hearing what he has to say about prospects.
And what's really cool about having those two guys is although they're both a part of TSN, their rankings are extremely different. So we're going to put them head to head. We're hoping we're going to reach out to all of our entities and try to get them on as guests in the week leading up to the draft. But we continue on with a man who has become a very divisive figure in the Senators' Twitter sphere because he has had some harsh words about the last 2 drafts, but we do respect his work because he puts in a lot of hours. He has some of the most comprehensive guides from The Athletic. It's Scott Wheeler.
Also a guest of the show many times, so we respect his opinion. And that's the thing, Ross, we're trying to get different angles of how scouts rank their prospects. So Wheeler is very different from what Bob and Craig Button do. So someone that's similar to him, though, also from The Athletic, we're looking at Corey Pronman as well. He does mock drafts, rankings, great work covering the upcoming prospects.
To another friend of the show, we know this man will join us in the lead up to the draft. Pilsy, we got a sneak peek at his rankings, not even released to the public at the time of this recording in late May. From the Hockey News, Tony Ferrari.
Our favorite bald analyst. We love Tony Ferrari, also a recurring guest of this show. Now, heading over to Daily Faceoff, it's Chris Peters. He's also done some mock drafts. He does a great job covering prospects from a different angle than some of these other guys.
He's formerly from ESPN. He has also said he will join the show. Pilsy, he is the one man brave enough to, at the time of this recording, not have Shane Wright as his number 1 prospect. That was so spicy. We had to get Chris Peters in the mix. And finally, this is a group of talented scouts. Some we disagree with. Sometimes they name players do not draft. Some we just absolutely hate that, but we still respect their hard work. Their draft guide is a must-read before every single draft. It is the crew at Elite Prospects.
Yeah, Elite Prospects, when their draft guide comes out, Ross, is probably the resource I use most heavily because they are
The Bible.
honestly, they are so in depth. They have such a wide team of scouts, reporters covering these players, and they give full breakdowns on everything, most notably the skating, which I feel like they focus on much more than any other entity. So we always use them and definitely recommend subscribing so you can get a look at their draft guide.
What is your favorite part of doing this countdown each year? Now it's year 3. We did a top 93 in 2020. It was also the middle of a pandemic. We had some time. We were growing the show. The Senators had an abundance of picks. They ultimately moved a couple, like the Matt Murray trade, dealt out a second rounder for that one, and then bring in Derek Stepan, second rounder for that one as well. But hey, they're now, because of the similar timing of the Derek Stepan move, the bringing in Braden Coburn and Cedric Paquette, the Senators have an extra second round pick this year. So we've decided 64 is a good number. It's the equivalent of 2 rounds of the NHL draft.
Exactly. We wanted to have the first 2 rounds covered just in case the 7th overall is our 55th ranked player, because you never know with the Ottawa Senators.
But what's your favorite part of doing this each year? Like learning about these prospects. It certainly makes draft day a lot more fun, having this knowledge base of what each player brings to the table.
Yeah, it really does. It makes the draft a must watch for us, because even though if the Sens have a while till they pick, you can be like, oh, this guy's still available. We had him ranked so high. We had him 4 to 5 stars draft rating, all that kind of stuff. And it allows you to follow these guys as they head into their NHL careers. And then you got an inside scoop on them. Maybe if there's trade rumors, the Sens are looking at him, you can be like, I remember covering him leading into the draft. He's someone I liked. So it's nice just to get familiar with all these guys. And it's really helped my analysis of how I look at and how I judge and rate players, because I'm reading through all of these entities and seeing how they do it and mixing it all together and forming my own opinion. So it's helped me grow as a hockey fan and broadcaster.
And it challenges us because we know the Senators like the back of our hand, but this, we actually have to sit down and do our homework. Now, we don't pretend to be NHL scouts or whatnot, amateur scouts at that. But that's why we rely on people who have a wealth of experience and knowledge in the industry. We also want to give a quick shout out to the hockeywriters.com, another piece of information source that we use for this. The Athletic is a fantastic resource.
McKean's as well is a great source.
Yes. With the Athletic, though, what I was going to say is they do a lot of long worded features on each player. So we love that because we're taking it and putting into bite-sized pieces for you, the listener, or the viewer in this case, as we're posting this one on YouTube, because each and every episode, instead of having to go over through our system, now we're just going to put a little card, point up, and then have you be able to click this. I mean, if you're watching this far, you've already figured it out, but that to say, it's just a one-stop shop for how we're doing the draft rankings. Pilsy, any final thoughts, or should we get in to the rest of this playlist on YouTube?
This is going to be a great draft. The Sens have a lot of opportunities to make themselves better, whether it's through drafting or using the draft pick as a trade asset. But let's get back into our draft prospect profiles, Ross.
And be a friend, tell a friend. You don't have to be a Senators fan to go and watch these draft profiles. You can be a fan of any team. We finish off each profile discussing what the fit would be in Ottawa, but we start out with information you might not know about them. Then we talk about their biggest strengths, what could hold them back from being an NHLer. So, as I said, be a friend, tell a friend, and we'll get into all that and more. You can like and subscribe to the videos on Locked On Senators on YouTube, and please leave a comment as well. What do you think about our draft rankings, and how could we make it better? We're always open to feedback. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. We'll see you in the other video.